Luka Nation episode. Is it 680? 681?
3,426. Doesn't matter. We've got one a day. Doesn't matter what the number is. We'll eventually have 1,000,000 episodes because I'm never going to die.
Tuck everlasting. We're back to talking about books.
Sure.
So welcome back to Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo, an episode that I'm very excited for, not for any real particular reason. I just think it's been a really busy, 24, 48 hours. It's VCon week, and I know that only kind of tangentially applies to the hobby, but I've already gotten quite a few DMs from people who own Tiger NFTs that are going, people that buy cards or in the hobby are going. A lot of dealers who set up at card shows are going to set up at VCon. So it's VCon week, having a lot of fun kind of preparing for that. Anything you want to talk about specifically? You want to riff? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Yesterday's guest. I've gotten some interesting feedback from folks about yesterday's guest. One of my favorite comments was, this was clearly someone picked by Andrew. And I write back, everyone's picked by Andrew. Andrew's in charge of all the guests. Like, what are you talking about?
Do you think they figured that out by me telling them that on the episode that
you reached out to him? That you reached out to him? No, so this is definitely an Andrew guest. And, I had some people say it was a little boring. I had a lot of people say it was awesome. I had some people say it was a little boring. And a lot of people say it was awesome. A lot of people, said it was a nice, change of pace. Good to hear some truth and like that kind of stuff. Interesting stuff, man. Let's see what's top of mind for me.
Our show is like Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, because our episodes really, you can't bucket them. And I know what you're saying, because some people listen to us while working out.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that yesterday's episode is necessarily a workout type of episode. It's not high energy. It's not Cage and I arguing about Giannis, which, by the way, you were right, man. At the end of the day.
No, I was not. God, dude, come on. I mean, I would not say that was a win by me, right? Yes, Giannis is not going to be in even the conference finals or the finals. He's not winning a ring. But ultimately, it's not on. I don't think it's on Giannis. I mean, Giannis was actually the highest percentage 3-point shooter on his team. You know what I mean? Like Shaq. Was it Shaq, or was it somebody with a parody Shaq account said something like, the Suns really went out there and won 80 games this year, so they could lose to LeBron without the hops and 4 Uber drivers. Did you see that tweet?
I did. I
mean, and that really just shines a light on. This league is fun, and we talk about how it's a superstar league, right? But one superstar, often not enough. Kevin Durant, about as superstar as they come, out, right? Giannis, superstar, out. Booker, Ja, you name it, these guys, right? What you're seeing now is two things. Number one, with some exceptions, we'll get to the exception in a second. Number one, for the most part, defensive-minded teams that have survived. And two, teams, right? So Miami, if you went out there now, even with the 4 teams that are left, but if you went out there in the playoffs, like you said, all right, playoffs, you said there's, 8 or 10 teams on each conference making the playoffs, right? And you did a draft. Okay, I'm going to take this person, like that commercial. I'm taking Barkley with the first pick. No one from the Heat is probably picked in the top 10, right? But as a team, they're the 1 seed.
I think it's speculation of who would go first from Miami. I don't think you even know.
And that helps also, right? And then they're playing against the Celtics team that, sure, Tatum looks like the guy, right? I've given Tatum some shit. He looks like the guy, but he's not head and shoulders better than everybody else on his team. And I think they work together as a team. I think Jaylen Brown complements him. I think Marcus Smart being, almost sort of like a Draymond, Swiss Army knife defensive player type of thing, that team is great. Luka, forget it. It's Luka and 4 Uber drivers. Shaq's right. But you got Golden State on the other side also, where, that is a team. That's the epitome of a team. They play team ball. So I'm not surprised about the exit of Giannis. Not because I think the Bucks suck or they should tear it down or that Giannis was. You get to talk about they missed Middleton. Maybe we talk about that. You get to talk about the team. You and I. The one thing I will say I'm right about is you said Giannis is great and I gave you shit, but I said it takes more than just Giannis. And who else does he have? And you were like, Drew Holiday's a stud, and Holiday, he played fine. But ultimately what you're seeing here is you need that depth. You need even more than 5 guys.
So my analysis on that is versus a team like Boston who can defend. I mean, you look at Tatum, Brown, Horford, Smart, Derek White, and Grant Williams and Robert Williams. You don't have much of a drop-off there in terms of defense, right? So that's when that second guy is so important. It's when there aren't any mismatches, right? There's only so much Giannis could do, and there's no second guy. If you had a team that had like 2 star defenders and 3 terrible defenders, you could run an offensive set to get Giannis or get the role players on a bad defender. Here, there is no drop-off. And the Milwaukee offensive players couldn't beat their other guy off the dribble, and they couldn't make threes.
The Celtics had 4 wins in 2 of those games. I don't care who played against them. They were going to win those games. It was the games where they shot basically 50% from 3. It was, what was it, game 1, right? I mean, it was a game, the first game where they just shot the lights out, where they shot like 23 pointers, right? Where they were just insane. And then this last game, when Grant Williams, because both of them, remember Grant Williams had a big game against the Nets too. When Williams is out there hitting your 3-pointer, that's somebody who your defensive game plan is let that dude shoot. Look what he looks like. He looks like the guy at the park that no one's going to pick up ball with. That's Grant Williams. But he's the one who killed him.
He's sort of Boston's version of PJ Tucker. And we're not talking about the Bucks losing PJ Tucker and how much that actually hurt them because, he's not a great offensive player, but he does make threes.
Yeah. And they love him. Like a Bobby Portis kind of love, fan love, team love. Can I tell you something? I'm rooting for the Heat.
I'm glad you went there. So my question mark is, are Jimmy Butler cards a buy? And here's why. There's some players that win a ring early in their career and then they build their legacy after that. There's some players that can't finish their legacy, like LeBron, who comes in with expectations until they have a ring. But there's other guys, I think it's like the Swan song, that winning the ring is their going out party. And if you look at Jimmy Butler's career, and if it does, I mean, he's not at the end, but he's at the near end. You know what I'm saying?
Is Kawhi at the end? I know what you're saying, though. Is Anthony Davis? I mean, these guys, they're all rookies, are all around the same time, right? These are 2012 Prism guys. Anthony Davis, same year. Maybe he was younger, the whole deal. I mean, I think Jimmy's got more in the tank than you. But I understand what you're saying.
Think so?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not that athletic. He's not that good of a shooter.
Wow, you're really helping your argument about how he's a buy, huh?
Well, my point was the Heat are seeking redemption from losing in the finals 2 years ago. So they have that chip on the shoulder, right? This team is constructed to win. And then you have that little bit of an X factor. We never think of Jimmy as cardboard relevant, but I wanted to pose the question, is he?
No.
Even if he wins a championship?
No. Just like I don't think Chris Paul's cards would have taken a humongous step up had he won a championship. Would have been a nice thing, it would have been a nice little icing on the cake, but he's already, cemented his legacy. And I will say this, switching hats, I'm going to be Andrew.
Please.
And I'm going to fillet JJ Redick. You have to watch JJ Redick. There was a really good back and forth with Stephen A. Smith, JJ Redick, and Patrick Beverley. Not the Beverly one where he got killed, right? But if I'm saying that Giannis is going to have a hard time, Giannis's shooting numbers, believe it or not, are better than Jimmy Butler. Stephen A. Smith was trying to say Butler is he's a mid-range 3-point shooter, and JJ Redick and Patrick Beverley's heads almost fell off their necks. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And Stephen A. Smith realized that he was going down a bad road and started to say, well, Jimmy Butler was injured part of the year. I mean, it's a funny little clip.
It's tough, though. It's tough because there are big-time guys. There's big-time players. Jimmy is terrible. Steve Kerr said this to Draymond Green. He said, you're maybe the worst unimportant game player in the league. Have you heard this quote by Steve Kerr from last year or no? So last year when the Warriors were doing terrible, Draymond was going through the motions. And Steve Kerr's like, well, dude, what are you doing out here? You look terrible. And he's like, he realized, he came to me and said, dude, you are maybe the worst unimportant game player I've ever seen. But in important games, Draymond steps up. You guys could Google this. Steve Kerr, Draymond. Just Google what I said. You'll see the direct quote. Draymond talks about this too. But same thing with Jimmy. In regular season games, his shot looks off. It looks flat. He shoots a terrible percentage from threes. But then in the postseason, he's completely dominating. Completely dominating.
Can I tell you what it is? Unless you, at this stage of your career, unless you are going to go down as a potential all-time great, Kevin Durant-wise, LeBron-wise, like an all-timer, the hobby has already passed these folks by, right? Butler had his chance to do whatever it was he was going to do, and the way that the hobby is now, it's, I want a young guy who can go out there and be a GOAT. And if he doesn't do it in the first couple of years, we give up on him, right?
Sometimes you don't realize how smart you are, by the way. Okay. I swear, you're incredible. Look at this. So this is Chris Paul's 2-year card ladder index up 250%. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Look at Jimmy Butler's index. It's the exact same percentage.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would imagine Chris Paul's cards are going to fall off because a lot of people were bolstering those up, expecting that he was going to win a championship and thinking that that would do something for him. And I don't agree that it's going to. And I think they're both – I mean, Paul has a much better resume than Jimmy Butler. Paul's already accomplished a lot more from an individual standpoint, just stat-wise. And he's got a cool name, Point Guard. What's Jimmy Buckets?
I would rather Jimmy Buckets over Point Guard.
Nah, I'd rather go Point Guard. That could be a million Jimmy Buckets, but
let's talk about
one Point Guard. But no, before we go there, right? So Butler, the problem you're going to have with him is people can't get behind him. As a matter of fact, if the Heat's more of a success story, they'll go back to your boy Lloyd Christmas. Tyler Hero, and hope that he has a big game. There's more people who will jump on him because he's young and he could do it again. Even Bam Adebayo, he's at kind of like a crossroads. If he goes out there and wins, the finals MVP and wins a ring and, all of a sudden people are talking about Bam, people don't love centers. But he was a little hot commodity there for a minute. Redemption there on the guys who can still build on this. Jimmy wins 1 or 2. He's already 12, 13 years into the league. You're right. He's on the tail end. It takes a lot to move the needle on somebody like that. Even winning an MVP, look, Joker. Jimmy's a weird dude, right? And it doesn't. There's just not. We talk about this. There's just not a huge fan base clamoring for Jimmy Butler. His stats are fantastic. I mean, he put up great numbers, and he's having an amazing playoffs. But guys, Luka holders, Ja holders, Tatum holders, you name it. Pay attention if you plan on being him more than a couple of months, because today's Jimmy Butler is tomorrow's Luka and Ja. If they don't go out there, what you're seeing from Butler today is a guy who's had a hell of a career, but just because the league is dominated by the superstars and LeBron got to the finals every year, Jimmy Butler didn't, right? And even if he had great years and built on his career and got better and is going to be a fantastic player with great career numbers, ultimately, if Luka and Ja and Zion and Tatum and these guys don't win multiple championships over the next decade, well, in 10 years, someone will be out there putting content out, probably us, because like I said, I don't die and I'll still be here. And I'll remind you guys about how 3,000 episodes ago, I mentioned that Luka would be looked at the same way as Jimmy Butler. Or Ja would be looked at.
Do you really believe that, though?
100%. And it might not, I'm not saying which specific one. I'm not shitting on Luka or Ja, but one of them will be.
And what? So
there's only so many championships to go around, man.
So championships is some of it. It factor is another thing.
And this isn't just basketball. It's the same thing with football, right? It's the same thing. Although Matthew Stafford just won a Super Bowl, what happened to his cards? Very little. Slight uptick. Why? Because people don't think it really matters. He's not going to go out there and do it 3 more times, although he happens to be, one of the favorites to go out there and do it again. But it's difficult to repeat. But the same thing applies for football, right? I mean, Mahomes is kind of in a different category because he won one. He can't take that away. But Herbert, Burrow, Mac Jones, all these cards, Trevor Lawrence, people are paying all this money for. I guarantee you that more of them are going to be Matthew Stafford in 10 years than are going to be Tom Brady.
Yeah, but what's the criteria? What's the lesson here? Because your lessons are always stay away.
No, the lesson is not stay away. The lesson is understand that when you are prospecting, it is much more of a gamble. That's it. People who think no matter what, I'm going to get
prospecting on veterans or older guys.
You can't prospect on veterans. It actually is by definition. You're prospecting on somebody who, something that has more of a future. The veterans don't have that. That's what makes them veterans. So,
but why would I not buy? So what I'm hearing from you is Ja or Luka is going to be the next Jimmy Butler, or one of them will be the next Jimmy Butler. Same thing in football.
Expand it, right? Everybody is looking for the next LeBron because LeBron's cards are crazy. He's got $1 million cards. Everybody's looking for the next LeBron. There will be someone who is potentially the next LeBron. That's playing now, right? Okay. There will also be people who are the next Kevin Durant. And that's great. His cards are worth some money.
But I don't agree with that premise. I don't think everyone's looking for the next LeBron. They're looking for the next opportunity, short-term, mid-term, or long-term.
That is the difference.
Guy that they like, who also has potential upside.
Okay. So you have to be careful with it because who we're talking to, right, are the people who have come in this hobby the last 2 years, right? And I'll give credit where it's due. Go on Twitter, check out Action Network. Darren Ravel wrote a nice piece, right? And if you listen to us, you already know this, right? You already know, but it talks about how the fantasy sport mentality for cards doesn't always play out. Now, Andrew was on this before Darren wrote his piece. Maybe he listens to our show and got some of his motivation from there. But he had great sources.
Play the fantasy game and lose. Quantity of Luka cards plus macroeconomy doesn't mean Doncic cards rise with Mavs advance.
Basically, to summarize it, it talks about exactly what you talk about, how the silver and the base, that even though he's at his peak of his career right now from a success rate, he's doing stuff better than the card prices aren't. And part of that is the overall market, of course. And part of it is, where we've come, COVID, and you name it, the whole deal. But the thought is, if at the beginning of the season you invested in Luka or you invested in Ja, those are the right calls, right? Who had better years than Luka and Ja this year, right? And yet, best case scenario with Ja right now, you're probably even. With the worst case, you're probably down.
Here's the Luka Silver, by the way.
Yeah, so Luka Silver, Probstein was quoted in the article saying, that was a card that was $9,500. I just sold one for $3,100. And guys, listen, this is a fun thing. We're probably not saying anything you don't already know, but you have to know who you are in the hobby. If you're in this to make money and short term, you can make money on Luka. If you buy it for $3,100 now, when he gets to the finals, maybe it's $4,000. If he wins the finals and wins the finals MVP, maybe it's $6,000. That's a direct quote from Probstein in that article. But you have to, like they said, be a daily fantasy player. You have to be ready to push the button at the right time and say, okay, I'm buying in at $3,100, or I bought in last week at $2,800 because I believe I'm betting on Luka, but I'm betting on him with a window, like you always talk about. It's not just about the entrance. It's about planning an exit as well and factoring what your downside is. This, though, is now to bring it to a bigger thing, that whole article, what we're talking about now, this is the very essence of the debate between collecting and investing. Because investors have windows of their investment, right? You don't buy a share of Apple as a collector. Maybe I put one up on the wall. It's a cool thing. I just want to have it. I don't care about the price. No, you buy a share of Apple and say, all right, in the near term, here are the things that could potentially happen. I believe that in 3 months, because of the sale of the new SE phone, blah, 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 it could go up. And if it doesn't, my downside is limited to this. There's an investment calculation done in your brain. That is what's being done with cards. And the unfortunate part is for the last year, the last 2 years, last year, let's call it, it doesn't make a difference if you were right on your call. Like even if you got to, unless you also are ready to time that exit right. Like you bought Ja, when he got injured and then sold it like the day after. Or you bought Tatum when it looked like they were going to lose to the Bucks and you're selling them now. Like literally like a 4-day window. You know what I mean? Unless you're doing that, it's very difficult to make money. And there is one of these sayings, right? Like don't try to time the market.
You have to be very precise. It's not just about buying Luka or buying Tatum or Ja. It's actually buying them at the right time and also selling at the right time.
Right. And that's difficult because, look, when I say, hey, Luka, it's too late to buy, don't buy him on Monday, right? Don't buy him right after he had that great performance. There's a reason why I say that. It's not just because I want to put my hand out there, in a post. It's because that is not the time to buy him. right? Unless you have a confidence level that he's going to get to the finals and maybe win the finals, and you're planning on selling then, and you have calculated the potential of that happening, since I think they're probably an underdog in both series. I'm sure they're an underdog to the Warriors, but he plays well against the Warriors. But you've calculated that, and you say, you know what? His cards have been beat up so much. I think the downside risk to buying Luka right now is so low, and then you maybe become a collector. Maybe you're forced into collecting because you bought it at 3,500, and it goes down to 2,500 right after he gets knocked out, and now you're like, whoa, I'm a collector now. The funny thing is that the what my post was does not match the comments. And this is why this is a good episode, and why I think hopefully people understand what we're saying, because this is actually the crux, the heart of our argument about Giannis. That you were saying one thing and I was saying something else. Same thing. I'm posting something and the comments are saying something else. I post don't buy Luka today because I want you guys to realize that his cards will probably never be as hot now in the short term as they are. You'll have an opportunity to buy, and that's what I'm saying. But the comments are, you're a Luka hater. What is wrong with you? You must not have watched the games. Didn't you see him go out there and score as many points as the Suns? This guy must be watching something else. What happened to you this weekend? Luka's the best. He's going to be the greatest of all time. I mean, all this fun stuff, right? It misses the point. Luka's fantastic. I love Luka. I love watching Luka, right? It might not be somebody, if you ask me how put a game on right now, which young NBA superstar do you want to watch? I'd probably pick Luka first. I think he's fun to watch. That's not what I'm saying, though. I'm saying you have to, if you're not collecting, and buying it because it doesn't matter, you just want to own it for whatever it is. If you're one of these people that are playing daily fantasy, right? If you're one of these people that's buying to exit soon, the day that everybody else is buying is probably not the day to get in.
And honestly, if you're a collector, it's probably also not the time to get in, because you could. I heard something great today. It's you do well or you profit on deals, and this is real estate anywhere across the board, on actually your entry, right? Mm-hmm. And you can't get a good entry when everyone is buying. You get a good entry when nobody's buying.
Supply of Luka is pretty finite day to day. The supply of Luka doesn't change. It'll change over time, but it won't change day to day. The demand changes. And clearly there will be more demand on the day that all of this craziness happens and he goes out there and puts on this display and wins against the odds. When that demand is up and the supply stays finite, the price goes up. So you're buying it at a higher price.
So in that case, we have to talk about this.
Shoot.
Do we buy Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton?
So it's the other side of the equation, right? Is a more expensive Luka a better buy than a cheaper Ayton? Yes. Is a more expensive Luka a better buy? But here's the thing. It's the same analysis. You're buying Booker or Chris Paul. What's your window? If you buy him now with the hope to get out with a profit in 2 weeks or a month, the answer is a clear no. What's the point? But if you buy it now with a little dry powder and see it go down, maybe you buy a little bit more in the next month, 2 months, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden the offseason ends and you start to hear hype, and maybe the Suns have a good draft, or maybe they sign somebody else or whatever it is, and you start to get, Chris Paul quotes, things like, I'm addicted to this feeling of being in the finals, so I got to come back here. It's a good thing you kicked that addiction. Because he didn't make the finals. So anyway, it's there might be a hype to it where, all right, now people are buying in. They think he's going to win. Maybe. It depends on what your window is for an exit, right?
You've seen different cycles of ESPN, 90s ESPN. Nothing competes with 90s ESPN. Stuart Scott, unbelievable. Linda Cohn, all of them. The way we treat players today on TV. Any thoughts on ESPN putting Pat Bev on and just how they went about all that stuff?
I mean, listen, the world is right now in a state of fights sell, animosity sells, negativity sells. And ESPN's not immune to that. So I'm sure they got a lot more clicks, a lot more views from Pat Bev coming on there and saying what he said, instead of Pat Bev coming on there and saying, credit where credit's due. These guys are great. Chris Paul and Devin Booker are a fantastic team. There's no way my team could hold a candle to them. But if he said that, we wouldn't be talking about it, nor would anyone. So I think
That's
that's
such a
probably
weird thing about media. Because, dude, for me, just as like a fan, I thought that was one of the most disrespectful interviews I've ever seen. From a guy who, I mean, he's irrelevant. He's an overrated defender. I just think we think he's a good defender because he's like kind of an annoying dog. So we always hear about him. To publicly live on TV to have one of the biggest sports networks invite him on to shit on someone who we often forget, like, okay, there's the performance in the game, but there's the performance in life. This is someone, Chris Paul's been in the league for basically 20 years. He's never had a scandal, a conflict. He's so well respected. He's the president of the Players Association. To speak about someone with such a decorated career, with such disrespect, I was surprised, man. I got to be honest. And his takes were.
Listen, you got to give ESPN a pass, maybe too, because maybe they didn't know what Pat Bev was going to say.
They absolutely knew what Pat Bev was going to say.
I don't know. Sometimes sometimes you have a guest that comes on, you just don't know what they're going to do or say. So anyway, we pass it along, right? We move forward to the world of the NBA draft lottery is today. So it'll be, I think, the 18th straight year.
Who's responsible in that?
The Knicks, they're terrible. They're unlucky, right? So since Patrick Ewing, when they got the first pick, the Knicks have never moved up from where their odds are. You know that? It's like, this will be like, I think, 18 straight years now where they've either stayed in the position that their odds would be at, or they've actually gotten worse. Like someone has leapfrogged them. Knicks are snake bitten, man. A snake bitten.
You know, Ewing got beat by Jordan in college and in the pros. Did you know this?
So yes, but Ewing was very young. So that was Ewing's sophomore year. Ewing also, he then beat Olajuwon in the NCAA championships at Georgetown, then lost to Olajuwon in the NBA finals. And then he went on to he lost in the finals to, I believe it was Villanova. I think it was the Villanova team that beat Georgetown, I think, in the finals. But he was still named the MVP, even though his team didn't win. Pretty cool thing.
So they sort of had a Magic Bird thing. I got to tell you, man, the more I'm learning about Magic, I got to tell, I think he's
You're officially getting old. Because if you start to read the stories, you start to see the vintage stuff, you start to see just how fantastic these guys are. You start to think, maybe I should be investing in Magic Johnson cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem, of course, is the kids who were at the show, Magic Johnson could walk in the show and they wouldn't even know. But LaMelo Ball walks in with a bowl of cereal with Marshall LaMelos in it, and they're all over it.
You're such a hypocrite sometimes.
Why?
Because
I'm stating facts.
But because you... on one hand, you talk about investing in tried and true things. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, you're trying to kind of figure out the psyche of the market.
Yeah, but I know the psyche of the market doesn't mean that I'm going to buy this stuff. I'm not a prospector.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
You have to choose sides.
Why?
Because that's our show. We have to give our audience value.
Who says you have to? You don't think I've given? That's a half hour of great value here. But no, you don't have to choose sides. That's the beauty of the hobby. You can pick whatever you want. You can invest in old. You can invest in new. You have a portfolio. You have the ability to diversify, and you can be wrong about certain players or certain investments and right about others. You can collect certain guys. Your PC can be Devontae Graham if you like. Your PC can be whoever it might be, and that's your collection. You might want to collect. And guess what? Come close. You can also go from being a collector to an investor. You can kind of collect to invest. I know people don't want that to be the case, but you can. Like if you want to buy cards of Brandon Ingram because you like his game, you happen to like him because you see a lot of yourself in him. Like you both play high. So, and then all of a sudden, Ingram starts to play really well, and you're in these cards for a price, and now they're 3-4 times the price. Guess what? You collected, but you became an investor. Like, you don't have to pick. You can be both. It happens in life. And then you can sell some of your Ingrams. Maybe you keep some of them because you still like them. Maybe one day you have a dream to kind of like get them on the podcast and vape together. Who knows? You don't have to choose. That's the fun thing about this. And let's focus on the fun stuff of the hobby because we're getting a lot of crap. We're getting a lot of messages. We're getting a lot of negativity. And it's fun because on the daily, the back and
Because I
forth,
get
the
none of them.
banter.
Apparently, you guys confide in Cage like he's fucking a priest or some shit.
I mean, I think people realize I've probably lost money. I lost money this past week, I'll tell you. I mean, people realize, and I'm going to tell them I've lost some money. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest genius on earth. I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you what I've done. But just to stay on the topic, right? On a daily basis, it's great to open up Instagram and Twitter and wherever else you get your hobby content from and hear the biting, hear the fighting. Hear the back and forth about this breaker or this channel or these people or this fraud or that hanky-panky. We're guilty of it ourselves. On the daily, it's great. It keeps you there. It's exciting. It makes for a great headline, right? It makes for a great title, right? It's almost clickbaity. But I guarantee you, if you take a second, guys, and ask yourself, what was it that brought you into the hobby? You didn't come into the hobby because of those clickbait titles. You didn't come in because you were like, you know what? This looks like a good place to get some drama. You didn't come in and say, hey, I found this hobby because I like all of the infighting. No, you came in because it was fun. You came in because you enjoyed the sport, and this was a cool way of maybe being more invested in a sport that you liked or a player that you liked. You came in because there was money to be made. Nobody came in for the infighting.
I love talking sports. That's why I came in.
If we remember that,
none of my family or friends wanted to talk sports at this level.
I mean, you like the infighting. No, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. I'm not judging anybody, but I guess what I'm saying is you will never get rid of it all, right? All the infighting, all the stuff. It does work wonders for clicks. Just like we were talking about with the Papev, interview. Look what it's probably one of ESPN's most popular things that they put out in the last month. But I think it also will start to turn sour.
So do we need better metrics or better stats? Because if we're doing everything for clicks, it's a short-term metric, but people remember for sure. Like,
I mean, for me, it's. I mean, look, there are valid stories. There's things that are going on out there. And I'm not telling people to shy away from them because that also does a disservice to the hobby. But every once in a while, let's have some fun. You know what I mean? Like, and point out the fun. That's my take on it. Right?
I mean, Celtics game, is that fun?
There we go. Let's talk about that. See, this is not we're not enemies with anybody. We're not fighting with anybody. You're going to the game tonight, right?
Our guy Flushing Breaks, someone that you've run into right in your Hudson Yards a few times.
Yep.
Someone that was one of the earliest listeners to our show. Mike, I think Flushing Breaks was his own baby, right? Him and a buddy starting a break channel, maybe during or before COVID. I think it's the two of them.
Yep.
As good a guy as it gets, right? We've seen him at Bleecker, or you've seen him at Bleecker. I've never met him. He's like, yo, I'm coming to town. What's up? You want to go to a Heat game, man? So that's fun. It's going to be a defensive battle. It'll be like 74-80 is my prediction for the score. Just a defensive juggernaut. So what else, Cage?
Some big auctions ending this week. I mean, you got the PWCC auction ending on Thursday, the premiere. You got Golden's auction ending. And it's interesting. Ken's got some comic books. Like Mondo comic books, like 7-figure comic books, like Batman, Superman stuff. It's pretty crazy to see, other things coming in. And let's not judge it. You know what I mean? Let's not be those guys that are like, oh, NFTs suck, or there's some really nice, alternate assets in there. I mean, it works for everybody.
I wanted to ask you something.
Shoot, ask away.
The Bird Irving Magic card?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to lean towards I think that's one of the best buys, given what we just talked about with Magic and Bird and Irving. So did you see the recent sale? And I'm curious to hear your take. So a PSA 10 is about $800,000 card, right?
But a BGS 10 sold for $5 and change.
But it's not BGS. It was
BVG.
Thoughts?
I still think the 10 in BVG should carry a premium. I was a little surprised, but you got to remember that card in 10
that's
is pretty
vintage grading. I apologize to cut you off.
Yeah, pretty damn rare, and the prices are all over the map. I know Rob G, I don't want to call you out, Rob, but Rob G got a really good price on one. We were talking about it as he was bidding. I forget if it was in Heritage, but it wasn't in one of the main auction houses. It wasn't main. It wasn't in Golden or PWCC, right? And it was like 3 and change 4. It was definitely not like a crazy price.
It's not where the new money hangs out.
Correct. And you're able to sometimes, maybe it was Memory Lane. It was Huggins and Scott. One of these, I'll have to look it up.
Starsky and Hutch, who knows?
Yeah, but so that card, the last couple of comps, like I'll give the card ladder guys and any of the other data, market movers, any of the other data platforms out there, I give them all credit because you got to come up with a reasonable method for what the price is on this. This is one of those where the comps don't really help you. Because the last couple comps on this are 300, 400, 800, 500. Like, who the hell knows, right? And, one given time. That's a great card. And, that's a card in PSA 10 that I assume because of the awesomeness of it and you name it, that will eventually be a 7-figure card. The problem I have with it is the last time I looked, there were over 600 9s. It's one of those weird cards where the 10 is Mondo money, but the 9 is not. Look, for example, at like Ricky Henderson's PSA 10 or Derek Jeter's SP rookie, which is basically a very good comp because in PSA 10, it's
$500,000.
It's $500,000. In BGS quad 9.5, it's like 12 grand, 15 grand. In PSA 9, it's significantly less, So that's one where, the pop 600 doesn't sound like a lot when you're talking about like having almost 19,000 PSA 10 Luka rookies. But
do you think it has something to do with the people that own it because there's such a small supply they can protect their asset?
You mean the 10 or the 9?
10. 9 you can't protect.
Yeah. So partially
22 10s in
partially,
PSA 10.
Yeah. So I mean the Henderson's a great comparison. I think the Henderson has 24 of them. So yeah, I mean I think that's what it is. I think what you see, the Beckett 10s, they carry a premium on cards where the PSA 10 has a high pop. Use the LeBron Chrome rookie, for example, which I think there's a BGS 10 for sale right now. Is it in? I mean, this is what happens. You have PWCC and Golden together. There's definitely a BGS 10, but I'll talk as you're looking for it. I believe the PSA 10 LeBron 2003 Topps Chrome sells for something like $6,000 now, but the BGS Black Label 10 is already approaching $40,000 with the buyer's premium, right? I think it was at like $33,000 or something like that. But the reason for that is because there are
here's a BGS 10. So here's a BGS 10 pop 159, which is
right.
kind of
this was a black label. But the point is that you're what you're looking at on these is you have you have a PSA 10 there's a lot of. So why the Beckett version of the Magic Johnson card might not be doing the same because only 22 of them. You know what I mean? Whereas a BGS or BVG 10 of the Jordan rookie is going to sell for a premium because there's only a couple of them, a handful, as opposed to the Jordan PSA 10 that there's 300 and change of. That's the difference, I think. You know what I mean? PSA 10 is limited enough. You don't need to have the 10. Charizard, different story. $230,000 PSA 10, but $1 million BGS 10. Logan Paul. No?
What are you typing over there?
I was looking to see what auction it's in, the LeBron Black. I think it's in Ken Golden's auction. So you can take a look at that. It's a black label. I'm pretty sure last I looked, it was up to like $33,000, which, was like 5 times what the regular base PSA 10 is going to sell for. So
the card ladder has it over 100.
What, a black label? Just a base Chrome. Black label? Because I think there's only 11 of them. That's why. Yeah. So, I mean, it'll go. It's just, look, it's got, what are we? We're recording on a Tuesday, right? So, that auction ends over the weekend. So I'm sure there'll be more bids.
This is Golden?
Yeah.
All right, Cage. Any buying opportunities for the last 4 teams in the NBA playoffs?
Whew, it depends on who you like and if you really want to gamble, right? I mean, you got to think that the stars who are left, their prices have already run up. Tatum's cards. I mean, even Panini Digital that I have people are messaging me. We know you have blue circles, Jason Tatum cards. Out of 99, will you sell them?
How much are they asking?
The last 2 sold on the 15th, so right after they clinched, 5/15, 2 days ago. 200, 209 were the 2 sales, so blue circles.
That's crazy. That's not his rookie card.
No, it's not even close to his rookie card. Blue circles out of 99 digital, 2 of them sold, 200 and 200. And not like crazy serial numbers either, just like regular common serial numbers.
What's an Edwards silver going for on Panini Digital?
I can look it up. It's not one that I looked up. I looked up that one because people were asking about it. But point here.
That's a true rookie, actually. That what makes that super cool is it's Edwards, who I think Edwards is a better prospect than LaMelo. But it's also the first release on Panini, right? It's like it has a lot of factors to it. So Edwards and Melo rookie Panini Digital moments are interesting.
So I've sold all of mine. Well, I sold my good ones. But so point being, Luka's cards up already, right? You got Steph's cards, they're always up. Jordan Poole's cards have run. If you're looking for something that could be a bargain and you want to bet Tyler Hero, you know what I mean? Like, what else is left as far as like the young guys to prospect on, right? Now, if you have some conviction and you think this is Tatum's year and you want to buy today to sell the day after he wins the MVP in the finals, you can make some money.
But why
if that
not
breaks
Curry?
Your way?
So like what? So imagine this: Curry.
What Curry card are you buying? Here's the thing: what Curry card are you buying?
I'm buying his Black
Label. This is the difference, by the way.
Topps rookie, obviously. Stupid.
The Black Label Topps Chrome Rookie Refractor. That's in PWCC. The one that's like $120,000 right now. That'll probably be more. Yes. If you have the money to buy that, go ahead and buy that. If you have the money, that's the problem with Steph, right? Are you buying his rookie? And if so, which one? Right? Are you buying some other card? Like, sure, the Steph index will probably go up, but are you going to buy an index? There are no index funds the last time I checked. You have to be right, not just, and we're taking this right back to the beginning, you have to be right not just on the player, but you have to buy the right cards, because while the demand for Steph might go up, the demand for his Crown Royal rookie might not. The demand for his, whatever the hell it is, might not. His high-end shit, sure, it'll set a new floor and all that other stuff. You want to buy Topps Chrome in a high grade for a lot of money, sure. Steph's got
four championships if he wins this year, tied with LeBron.
You think he wins?
If he does win, who is a more renowned player, Steph or LeBron?
LeBron. But Steph changed the game. Steph's a better shooter.
He's fun. He smiles.
Listen, I know who you like better, but LeBron's the top 2 all-time player.
Top 2?
Steph potentially moves. Yeah, who are you going to put ahead of him? You put Jordan ahead of him. You going to put Kobe? You would just be a Kobe homer. People would see through it. You going to put Kareem?
We haven't talked about Kobe a lot in the hobby recently.
Why do you think that is?
People get bored and they move on to the new flavor of the week.
Yep. People made their money.
We always compare people back to like the documentary of Last Dance. Like when the X documentary is going to come out, it's going to really help this guy's cards. I actually think the opposite is true. That was an anomaly with the Last Dance. I don't think that's not the rule. That's the exception.
I think you're probably right. Because the Last Dance, not only was it about the greatest ever lace them up, but it happened at exactly the right time. It happened when it was basically a whole bunch of, dry wood and, lighter fluid. And all it needed was a spark. That was it. So
we were all home doing literally nothing, watching this, like waiting for next week's.
And
they did a good job releasing 2 episodes at a time.
They found a way to make Michael Jordan win on the court again. because you were watching that. He was winning a championship in front of your eyes when no one else was playing to win a championship. He was having his Luka moment, his Giannis from last year moment. That was Jordan's bubble. Even though we already knew how it ended, we were watching it play out as if it was live sport. It was an interesting phenomenon. It really was. Really was. Well, gotta love sport, man. Gotta love sport. You know, it's fun to talk about it. The Yankees, who have had what is known as a murderer's row in their past in the 20s, you know, teams that won, you know, basically almost every game they played and just hit home runs, mash with Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Tony Lazzeri, and you know, all these amazing guys. They did something for the first time in their history last night. Now, I think the Yankees are 26-9, which is damn impressive. I thought they'd be good. I didn't think they'd be this good. And it comes out the pitching. Severino, they're 7-0 in the games that he started. So he looked real good last night. But get this, with Judge, Stanton, and last night Rizzo hitting his 10th home run. They're 35 games into the season and have 3 players with double-digit home runs already. They've never done that. It's pretty crazy. Talk about Bronx Bombers. Pretty crazy.
MLB standings 26-9.
26-9, yeah.
73 run differential.
Yeah. Well, I think they lost one series in the very beginning. Might have even been to Baltimore, who they're playing now, and they haven't lost a series since.
Do you remember how upset you were? These are not the games that you can lose.
You don't lose Baltimore. I mean, if they can go out there and win every other game, then they're okay. But, you know, you don't want to lose. New York
out. Dodgers, Yankees, World Series would do wonders for baseball.
Yeah. Fast and Furious out there.
Insane, right? Dude, Florida cars are weird.
I thought you lived with like 80-year-olds. Are they out there? Is that a Vespa? Is that like a scooter? Is that one of those like medical scooters?
I pulled up today, parked my car, got some inventory for VCon, and a BMW, like tinted windows, black, 2-door, pulls up. Guy rolls down his window. It's like an 85-year-old guy.
Nice. He sold you weed.
No. He's a Navy guy.
Really?
We got to talking. Yeah, I like learning from old people. I was like, oh, how's life? I was like, you live here with your wife?
I'm going to get comments about that.
I got a few girlfriends. You know, I'm looking at a property across the street. I was like, oh.
You're going to let Andrew get away with saying he likes learning from old people? He's calling you old in every episode, Cage. No, guys, he was talking about the dude in the BMW. I promise.
Yeah, he actually was old.
Listen, you can learn a lot. Let's do that. Let's give a little bit of wisdom today. My wife has a fun saying that I'll throw out there for you guys. We went for a walk yesterday with my son and my daughter, and my daughter was basically telling us what was going on in her school, and I believe we did a good job of teaching her how she has to stand up for herself, even to her teachers, when her teachers are not doing the right thing. And my daughter is all extracurricular. She got great grades, 98s, 99s in every subject. And she is in like chorus. She sings, and she's in like a special chorus, and she has to go in the morning and sing, and you know, the whole 9 yards. And she has a chorus performance on Thursday night. I have to be at her school at 6:00 at night on Thursday to go listen to her sing. And so this week, I guess the chorus teacher woke up and realized that she had a performance on Thursday. So the kids have practice every day this week for a period of class, but it's during another class. And I don't know how the chorus teacher is allowed to do this, but basically like yesterday, it was chorus practice during Spanish. Today it was during science. You know, tomorrow it's during like, you know, social studies. So we were walking last night and Leah explained to us that the chorus practice was during the period she's supposed to have a science test. And we said, well, do you talk to your teacher? What did you say? And she said, well, the teacher said I could take it on Thursday. And we said, okay, but Thursday you have a math test. And when are you going to do it? And then you have the chorus thing. Oh, we'll do it in after school as an extra help period. Okay, well, how long is that period? It's 30 minutes. How long is your class? 40. So the rest of your class is going to get 40 minutes to take the test. You only get 30. Unacceptable. Go in today. Tell your teacher this. She's like, why can't I just do what everyone else is going to do? I'll be good in 30 minutes. I'll be fine in 30 minutes. I don't know. Somebody was trying to get my attention. I'll be good in 30 minutes. I promise. I'll still get a great grade. Only, but you have to defend yourself. You have to tell the teacher this. So why don't you take it a different period? What period do you have? Do you have like a free period, whatever it is? So she went in today. She talked to the teacher, sent the teacher an email last night. I shouldn't be penalized because I'm in chorus. That this should be between you and the chorus teacher. You guys should work out the schedules. It shouldn't be me in the middle. And she took the test. She got a 97 today, which I'm mad about because we studied the hell out of it last night. And she should have got 100. But the point is, she was ready to just accept what the teacher is saying, right? Accept. And now she understands that, she has to be able to, defend herself and not put herself at a disadvantage, especially, in a situation like this. It's her grades. They're important. So what my wife said, a bunch of different sayings, and then we moved away from this a little bit, but she said to Leah, she said, here's a quote that I wish I learned earlier in life, right? Don't accept no as an answer from someone who can't tell you yes. And I'm pretty sure that is attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt. But I just dropped it. I said, the ghost of Eleanor Roosevelt just came and stole my phone. No, but think about it for a second. It's a life thing. In life,
don't accept no from anybody that cannot give you.
Don't accept no as an answer from someone who can't give you a yes. So you've heard, of course, and you're a big life proponent. Maybe we'll do this. It's a positive thing. It's like a little learning stuff for our guys. We'll do this every once in a while, but you're a big find a way to get to yes. We're yes people. People ask us to do things, even if it's something that's out of our comfort zone. We'll try to figure out a way to make it happen for them, right? And this is you can kind of think about it from sell me this pen, a sales thing, right? Someone's always making a deal. Someone's closing all the time, right? You're either going to make the sale or the person on the other end of the phone is going to sell you on a no, right? The point there is that there are going to be gatekeepers in life all the time. Gatekeepers who you will have to get past to get to the actual person. It's like a Bruce Lee movie or a video game where you have to fight against the small bosses to get to the big ones. And
if you're in sales at any level right now, it's alarm bells are going off.
So this is not, you can't take no from these gatekeepers, right? And if someone doesn't have the ability to tell you yes to something, then they also shouldn't be able to tell you no, because if they can't give you what you're asking for, you have to get beyond them and go to someone who can, right? You can accept a no from them if that's I keep fighting, but you shouldn't stop at the no from someone who couldn't have given you what you wanted anyway. So it's an interesting one. We'll thank my wife for this one. She's got a bunch of sayings. Maybe I'll throw them out there for you, but it's a fun little lesson. And I want my daughter, my kids to understand, you have to advocate for yourself.
Don't accept no from someone who can't. I like that.
I think, like I said, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, I think it's attributed to. So, but
I was telling my sister about Ronald Reagan's wife,
Nancy Reagan,
and how she created the whole DARE program, right? Like she basically scared the whole
huge
country.
Influence on my life. I've never done a recreational drug, and Nancy Reagan is most likely the reason why.
And now my sister and me to an extent, but I'm interesting. I bridge these two generations. Drugs are like mainstream. Like it's a very fascinating. Gambling is like mainstream now.
They scared the shit out of you. There was a great commercial on that they had a frying pan, right? And look this up on YouTube. I'm sure you can find it. And they threw like white powder in a frying pan. And they said, this is drugs. Then they threw an egg in it. And it was, basically the egg on top of the drugs getting fried. And it said, and this is your brain on drugs. Any questions? And that's
cool. There was a soccer shirt that was like, this is your brain on drugs. Football. This is a healthy brain. Soccer ball. This is your brain on drugs. Football.
Yeah. I mean, it's, for anybody my age, anybody who is, who has any 80s, in them at all. I think I'm right smack dab in the middle of Gen X. But anybody who has any of that in them, they know what I'm talking about. But take a look on YouTube. The this is your brain on drugs, or I'll never forget. And this was like, now as a parent, there was a great commercial on YouTube of a father. Yeah, there's your brain on drugs. Any questions? Exactly. A father finding his son's drug stash in his room, and he looks at it. And the son walks in the room and he says, "What is this? Where did you learn this?" And the son looks at the dad and says, "I learned it from you, okay? I learned it from watching you." And the father, puts his head in his hand and sits down all defeated, and it's like parents who do drugs have kids who do drugs. And you're like, oh my God, scare the shit out of you. So,
what would you say if your kids are like 20, 25 and they ask, like, Cage, what do you think about shrooms?
If my kids call me Cage, that would be weird. They're probably already on shrooms. But,
the reason I ask is, dude, I don't really know what
the world changes, man. It changed the world and what's okay.
Do you know the drug ketamine?
Of course. Special K. I had friends who've done it. Yeah, it's a horse tranquilizer.
So in Florida, this is no bullshit. I matched with a girl on Bumble, and her job.
The fuck's a Bumble?
It's like Tinder.
Okay. Right.
Her job, she works at a ketamine clinic.
Nice.
And what they do, and I looked it up. I go so in deep, and I'm like, what? I'm like, this can't be real, but it's very real. There's ketamine centers, and it's for people who are suicidal, depressed, at like the very edge, like it's like their last step, and nothing worked for them. They go to these ketamine clinics, and they give you an IV, and it says it changes people's lives.
I see it now, man. This, I think, is a match made in heaven for you. You get all the ketamine you need, and I can see Netflix already. The wheels are turning, right? We're gonna call it Bumbledore, the magic of Andrew, Bumbledore. No,
I don't know how you come up with this stuff, but I was fucking fascinated by it.
I mean, look, drug culture is interesting. I mean, there are people out there who lick frogs, right?
That is in Tulum, very popular. Like no, but. Okay. I don't know what this has nothing to do with cards. I think this is cool, though. Like last time we talked about books.
I mean, we're definitely getting out there on some stuff, but we're doing positive. We talk every day, and I find it amazing. And I guess it's because you have your interesting life and, your interesting outlook on things. And, you moved down to Florida, you got fun stuff to talk about. I'm just old. That even though we're approaching 700 episodes here, we still find something interesting to talk about every day. And that's a cool thing, I think. So we love you, Luka Nation. Thanks for bearing with us, even through the books and the drugs and the Nancy Reagans and the Eleanor.
This is this is an episode you could work out to. This is fun. This is entertaining. So thank you all for listening to another episode of Luka's, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month. And many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. we're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is, 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luka Nation.